Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over some of the changes I'm making to the Spiritualist subclass. Before I get into the changes that I'm making, I want to talk about where the Spiritualist Druid came from and some of the challenges surrounding it. The Spiritualist Druid was created in order to hold three abilities: the Oak Spirit, the Heart of the Wolverine, and the Spirit of Barbs spirits that the Druid can conjure. It was originally a part of the mainline Druid before spellcasting got introduced, and then when the spellcasting and level changes happened, I pulled it out and put it into a single subclass. The problem with this is, one, I'd have to come up with a second level ability, which is not a part of D&D. It would be out of my own mind, which is not exactly a problem, but it could cause some friction with the people and might not hit the flavor very well. Another issue is that the three spirits are individual subclass abilities, which would mean that they replace one another. So you end up with, essentially, I got the one that I want to use, and the other class abilities or subclass abilities I don't use. They're not something like the Paladin's auras that you can just switch on and off. Now that can be changed, but it's one of the things I'm addressing here. So with all of these problems adding up, what I've done is decided to completely remove this subclass. It's gone. The Spiritualist is no more. And the three spirits are now merged together into a single spell. Summon Nature Spirit. It is a spell, a level 3 spell, available to the Druid, has a lot of the same stats as the other summon spells, one action, range 60 feet, requiring material components with a gold cost equal to their level times 100, which in this case is an oak leaf, a tuft of wolverine fur, and a thorn inside a gilded clay pot. That kind of fits with the three spirits. Lasts an hour, concentration, available for the Druid. What it does is it creates a tiny fae that you can order around the battlefield. And while statistically it doesn't have a lot of, stats very well, 1 strength, 13 dex, 12 con, 3 intelligence, 11 wisdom, and 10 charisma, I did give it a couple of good defensive options. It is proficient in all saving throws. It is immune to almost all conditions. As a side note, invisible is the only condition where something is not immune or resistant to it. Anyway, it has 120-foot dark vision, it has blind sight up to 10 feet, and then it also has the incorporeal movement ability, such as like the will-o-wisp, some of the undead, the incorporeal undead. The nature spirit can move through other creatures and objects as though they're difficult terrain, takes a little bit of damage if it ends its turn inside there. When you summon the spirit, it gets one of three natures: defensive, offensive, or retaliatory. The defensive gains the defensive aura. At the start of the spirit's turn, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of it gains temporary hit points equal to half the spell's level rounded up, which lasts until the spell ends or the creature is further than 30 feet from the spirit. One of the challenges that I had with the subclass ability is, in Diablo 2, the spirit increases your hit points. And that becomes a problem because, you have maximum hit point increase, but if you move in and out of the area, then it gets all kinds of weird stuff going on. And if you're damaged and it just increases your hit points, but it doesn't, or hit point maximum, but doesn't increase the number of hit points, then you get no benefit from it unless you're healed, and yada, 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 all these kinds of problems. So what I did in the original ability is damage reduction. You can use a reaction to cut damage by 1d6. And that worked pretty well, actually. I did like that very much. Because while it wasn't increasing your hit points, it was effectively increasing the amount of hit points the opponents had to chew through. However, there is another spell that works very similar to this. It's Heroism. It's a first level spell, concentration. You can touch a creature and it gets hit points every turn equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. It's not a bad spell. As you upcast it, you can target additional creatures. Since this spell, since Summon Nature's Spirit is a 3rd level spell, you could target, essentially with heroism, you could target 2 additional people. But you also get a reduced amount of hit points. Instead of having 4 or 5 temporary hit points, it does, when you start, 2 across anybody that you choose. So functionally, it could add more overall, but not everybody's going to be attacked. Maybe you have to go through an area of effect that might damage you, and that could help. But the idea is that everybody of your choice becomes a little bit tankier. I had debated on whether or not you should round up or round down, but because of the retaliatory aura, I decided to go with round up. The second nature is offensive, and that grants the offensive aura. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet of the spirit adds 1d4 to their weapon attack rolls. This is the heart of the Wolverine. It increases your damage and your attack rating in Diablo 2. But instead of what I did with the Spirit of Attack, where you can, as a reaction, add the Wisdom modifier of the Druid to the attack roll, I figured I'd go with just kind of a miniature Bless, and only for weapon attack rolls. That way, yeah, you're affecting more people. Bless already targets 3, but Bless also adds your 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws and ability checks. So this one, it could target more creatures, but it also could be that it just doesn't do as much because, if everybody's a spellcaster, then it doesn't do anything, which is why you'd go with like defensive aura or retaliatory aura. It's great. It's great if you are doing a support druid and you throw it out there and you have 3 or 4 party members with their summons, for example. You're hitting 4 or 5 people, 6 people maybe. Yeah, it becomes very nice. But it is restricted only to those weapon attack rolls. I might change it so that it is any attack roll to make it a little bit more useful. Because, Bless is a 1st level spell and it targets 3 people and has a better effect. So, maybe not. I don't know. I'll consider it. The retaliatory aura is whenever a creature of your choice within 30 feet of the spirit is hit with a weapon attack, the attacker takes piercing damage equal to half the level of the spell rounded up. Now, notice, this is not a save. This is straight up just natural thorns. You get hit, you deal damage. The original one is, in the original Spiritualist, is a reaction to deal, I think, twice your wisdom modifier. But in this case, it goes off the level of the spell, so it you upcast it and it becomes, more useful. Now, I would really appreciate feedback on this. I think it captures the spirit of how the Druid's spiritual companions actually work, but there are some minor tweaks that I think could be moved around. They don't have any actions or bonus actions or reactions. They're literally just a movable aura, and that's all they do. But that's kind of how the spirits in Diablo 2 work, is that they just follow you around and then immediately get killed whenever somebody targets them down. Anyway, not salty at all. But there is a handful of things that I could tweak. The armor class is one of them. The hit points is another, making them a little tankier so that they don't die as often. Maybe upping the stats or giving them some kind of action that they can do. Maybe as an action they can empower a creature to double the effectiveness of their aura, maybe? I don't know. But I think it works. I think it falls in line with a decent 3rd level spell. I don't know if you'd upcast it to 5th or higher, but it's something that it can use. And this is, by the way, also available for the D&D Druid. Anytime I put Druid on a spell, it works with anybody that is a Druid. I think that this is a good solution. Removing a subclass so that you have a bit more utility, a bit more modification for your character instead of speccing into a subclass that gives you basically one class feature because you're never going to use the other 2. I think this is a good balance. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this with some of the other classes, but this one I think is a good solution and a good opportunity for some interesting changes that I might do in the future. Anyway, I think I am going to close that out there. You can contact me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2, on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.